If I had to say what one of the greatest issues affecting the gacha community is today, it would be just how high the bar has been raised. Let's say you're a new gacha tuber in 2023, or that you want to start your gacha channel now, but your videos won't be as good as your favorite creators who inspired you in the first place. Luckily, there are 5 very simple steps to make your mini-movies, episodes, or even full-length movies instantly better, and will help you break through the mold of mediocrity that you're stuck in. If you want your series to be remembered and enjoyed for years to come, then here's what you can do even if you're just starting out right now. Number 1. Always write a script. Now, if your series is voice acted, you're probably doing this already. But even if your series is the typical screenshots we all start out with, having a script is essential for several reasons. Firstly, it allows you time to plan everything out. If you're one of the people who comes up with the story of a gacha video while you're making it, then picture this scenario. You're busy coming up with one of the scenes, then someone calls to do your homework, help out with a chore, to go to bed, anything. Maybe even have to visit a friend or relative won't be back until days later. Then you return, ready to finish it. Are you going to remember exactly what you had in mind before? It could be something as simple as one of your characters saying they're vegetarian and then chomping down a piece of steak a scene later. Or maybe you forget that you haven't yet introduced a piece of information that you only find out is missing later in the video. For example, in my Shimmering Husband, several very interesting concepts are introduced. The main character Scarlett's husband died a year and a half before the events of the movie, and lo and behold, an alien/angel looking person with a near identical physique to her late husband appears through a white hole. Sorry, I mean warp, after escaping from a facility of science ninjas. Scarlett later on discovers a fairy tale about creatures called Shimmers and a cult in a church that worships these creatures that can provide some answers about this alien man's origins. Fairy tales, cults, and science ninjas. That all sounds insane. So why then did the video absolutely tank on a very successful legacy gacha channel? Simple. It was boring. So very boring. And the reason it was boring was because those ideas are introduced and then forgotten about for most of the running time. In fact, several scenes repeated themselves, as if WhatsApp Unicorn just forgot what they'd already put in the film. It was like watching the repeated mother-daughter scenes of The Room for 1 hour and 20 minutes. If this movie had been scripted, it would have been very easy to cut down the fat and probably release the video faster. Heck, I had another example in this script, but I cut it for time because you all get the point. Another reason for a script is because a text document of any kind has some level of spelling, punctuation, and grammar checks. We've all seen just how awful gacha spelling has always been, and mobile autocorrect often makes this worse. Despite what certain commenters may have you believe, my Shimmering Husband is riddled with very basic errors most middle school teachers would cringe at. Heck, I learned the difference between your and your in elementary school, and that's the most common mistake I see across most gacha videos out there even today. So save yourself the embarrassment and make yourself a script. I promise it's not as tedious as you think. Number 2. Camera angles. How many videos in our community have you seen that look like this? Your run-of-the-mill landscape perspective where everyone is the same distance away and looks pretty small, all things considered. Most of them, right? I'd be willing to bet that your personal favorite gacha series has the characters appear up close, far away, in the foreground, in the background, above, below, you name it. And those are the ones that get the most praise for how well made they are. The reason for all this is all part of film theory. Like, actual film theory. Different shots convey different things to the audience. You can look into this in detail if you choose, but a simple example is that closer shots imply more intimacy. You want us to feel sadder for a particular character? Put him in the center. Now, you might be thinking, but Jacob, I don't have an editing software that can do that. Or I haven't worked out to yet because I'm new to editing. Not to worry. Gacha Club itself has a feature that allows you to do close-ups in the app. You just go to the background page, select your background, and use the buttons underneath Move Background and Scale Background like so. Then you enter the studio, scale your characters up accordingly, and it looks like you've zoomed in. However, I do recommend doing your angles in post-production if you can, especially because you can do panning shots, zoom-ins, and zoom-outs by using keyframes. Keyframes are a bit harder to explain and are worth a video all to themselves, so if you want me to cover them, comment "release the keyframe cuts" down below, and subscribe so you can see when the video is complete. For now, let's move on to number 3. Pick your presets. One of the biggest things you get criticized for as a gacha tuber is lousy character design. Yes, this is very subjective, but most experts will know straight away whether you've been lazy with your handiwork. Back in the day, most character designs were made by starting from the preset Kinnan, as she was the simplest design, so it took less time to get rid of unwanted accessories. Now with Gacha Club, the usual place to start is Default Boy. Sounds great, right? Wrong. If you're just starting out or you're not sure what to do for character designs, using the exact same template every single time means you have to know how to make everyone look different. For example, in Kingdom Defenders by Wipeout's Arena Fan 14, there are 5 main characters, 3 princes and 2 princesses. The princes were made from Default Boy, and the princesses from Default Girl. Actually, I don't know why I'm bothering to explain that. You can clearly see it on screen. It's this obvious because the customization is minimal. If you don't know how to make them look different enough and avoid the dreaded same face syndrome, then you need another tactic. So what's the solution? Easy. Pick your presets. I have a theory that Gacha Club introduced Default Boy and Default Girl in response to complaints about how complicated the other presets were to work with. The thing is, what they also introduced was a metric buttload of other presets. Gacha Club is drowning in fan-created presets, all neatly arranged into different clubs with a specific aesthetic associated with them. All you have to do is pick one from this library, customize it to the point where it's unrecognizable, and hey presto. Even if you don't do a good job for whatever reason, no one's going to notice. And if someone goes out of their way to find the original version, that means they're already engaging with your video to the point of breaking it down. You've already won! So yes, pick a different preset for every single character you do, and no one can think they're cut from the same fabric. Because they're not. Happy designing! Number 4. Custom backgrounds. This one's a little trickier to do, and requires some understanding of post-production. So feel free to skip to tip number 5, which is one of the most valuable pieces of advice I have for anyone at any level. As for this tip, the gacha background list doesn't have everything. Say you want a cave system, or an indoor swimming pool, or you end up making the same show for 4 years and run out of new backgrounds for buildings, houses, rooms, gardens, among other things. Just me? Oh. Okay then. In any case, you might feel like you're stuck with nothing to do but just keep rehashing what you already have. Wrong again! If you go into the background section of Gacha Club and select a BG tint at 100%, you can film on a solid color background. Then find what you're looking for on a website like freepik.com and chroma key the characters in. I also suggest rendering a version of this before applying tip number 2, but you get the idea. Suddenly, the internet is your oyster. Not really much to say about this one. On to the final tip. Number 5. Get a second or third opinion. Most of my gacha scripts I write with or show to Aiden DeBest and vice versa. We each serve as each other's pair of eyes, and we suggest stuff for each other's stories and characters all the time. And when we know we need another pair of eyes, we might bring in our friend Emily or somebody else. On top of that, we're each other's spell checkers. Mainly that's a me thing, but I do slip up on occasion. All gacha tubers do. I get it though. This community can indeed be very toxic at times. We attack each other with little restraint and possibly with too much intensity on occasion. So showing somebody your script, your designs, your edits, or a combination of all three can be very nerve-wracking to do. Two things, however. Firstly, that's what's going to happen anyway when you publish the video, but more importantly, all art is worthy of being criticised. It doesn't matter if you're not William Shakespeare, or Pablo Picasso, or Steven Spielberg, or Agatha Christie. Doesn't matter that people don't take the Gacha community seriously, because we in the community itself certainly do. Whatever creative project you make in life is art. It can be good art or bad art, but it's always going to be art. So I suggest finding a friend, relative, commenter, reactor, whomever, and ask them to honestly tell you what they like and don't like, and how to make something better. Most of the time, people think their story makes sense until someone else looks over it with no context. Another reason to always make a script. And if you get someone to check your work ahead of time, you can save yourself a little bit of cringe when you look back on your old work in the years to come. No Gacha series will ever be perfect. Even the Music Freaks has several flaws to it. But the goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to get a little better each time. And I hope that this video will help you pursue that goal. Again, let me know if you want that keyframes video. Otherwise, please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters, and subscribe if you haven't already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.